Any American who sees the video that I saw will see the United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors. Bad guys, but attacking shipwrecked sailors. Now, there's a whole set of contextual items that the Admiral explained. Yes, they were carrying drugs.
Attacking shipwrecked sailors. That is a Democrat member of the United States Congress, a disgrace to the Congress. He should be expelled from the Congress for that line alone. Attacking shipwrecked sailors. Really? Whose yacht did they steal at gunpoint? Shipwrecked sailors, that's what he calls them. That's like, the Mogadishu pirates, like in Captain Phillips. They were economically deprived, hungry, armed pirates. The Democrats are pro-pirate. They're pro-drug traffickers. They're pro-fatal drug overdoses in the United States. The Democrat Party does not like you. I'm assuming that you're a human being, and that's the only requirement for the Democrat Party to not like you. They don't like animals very much either. They certainly don't like people. And I've got more on that. Congressman Jim Himes, this guy's a real piece of work, I got to tell you. Everybody's a war criminal, the Americans, not the drug traffickers. They're fine. They got their AK-47s, their go-fast boats. They work for major international drug cartels that are responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths. And the Democrat Party applauds them. They want to date them. They want to get in the hot tub with them. Hot tub. They're not on the side of civilization. I want to get right back to that because there's a lot of crazy Democrat stuff going on there. But on this, our final hour this Friday, our Fisher House Telethon, our annual 2-day Fisher House fundraiser. And I got to tell you, the great contributions are flowing in from our great listeners because we have the greatest listeners. This ain't NPR. NPR says, well, doesn't the government pay for that? Don't I already? Isn't it in my taxes? And then their brain falls out of their ear and goes splat on the table. But the phone number to contribute to Fisher House, 888-294-8560. And we've gotten so many great, I told you about the $10,000 donation that we got from American Legion 72, American Legion Post 72 in Warrenton, Virginia. They're calling on other American Legion posts and VFW posts, Veterans of Foreign Wars posts, to donate as well. They're not calling for a match specifically. $10,000, very generous, but if you can. Also, we got very recently, just since last we talked, a $1,000 donation from an anonymous donor in Charleston, South Carolina. Thank you, Anonymous. Some people are just very modest and humble. That's an old American tradition, too. Democrats are the opposite of that. $1,000 donation from Anonymous in South Carolina. $2,000 donation from Thomas. Thomas, he just wants his first name. In Rockledge, Florida. Rockledge. We started singing there's a little town called Rock Ridge. Rock Ridge? Like in, everybody knows. Come on. Great stuff. It's Mel Brooks, the great Mel Brooks, and all that. Sheriff Bart. Little town called Rock Ridge. But Thomas in Rockledge, Florida, $2,000. John in Rockville, Maryland, $1,500. From the Dale City Moose Lodge. The Dale City Moose Lodge, listen to this. It is the Moose Lodge 2165, Dale City Moose Lodge, number 2165 in Woodbridge, Virginia. $3,000 from the Moose Lodge. So that's great. Just wonderful. So wonderful. And Kathy from Virginia, just Kathy, she just wants to be Kathy from Virginia, donated $250 in honor of her dad, her father, who served as a Navy medic during the Korean War. And we were talking about this a couple of minutes ago. I used to work with a guy who was, during the Vietnam War, he had a very low draft number, and he was likely to be drafted very soon. He joined the Navy. And then once in the Navy, they said, well, we can train you to be a medic. And he's like, medic in the Navy? Come on, I'll be handing out aspirin on ships. This will be great. So they trained him as a medic in the Navy medic. And Then they said, all right, did we mention that all Navy medics are assigned to Marine Corps combat units on the front line? Wait a minute. So I'm guessing Kathy's father, who was a Navy medic in the Korean War, probably had a very similar experience being assigned to Marine Corps combat units, which is where Navy medics very often find themselves. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. And thank you for everything, for all of that. Wonderful. At last count, you, our great American listeners, had contributed $207,574, and the number is growing with each passing minute because you're so great. All right, now let's go back to the Democrats because they're not so great. They're not so great. It was a Democrat that was arrested, a black man. Did I mention that? Brian Cole, yesterday by the FBI at his home in Woodbridge, Virginia. And when I say his home, I really mean his mother's home because he may be 30 years old, but he's been living in his mother's house and working part-time at his father's bail bondsman business. Apparently his father does not live in the house with his mother, but he does. Well, he did. Anyway, I think he might be living in public housing for some time to come. But the Democrat congressman from Connecticut, Jim Himes, he's like, oh, these poor, innocent, he called them terrified men. The drug traffickers are terrified men. That's what he called them. And just amazing. But Jim Himes, he's accusing people of war crimes and stuff. This is number 13 this time, right? And Jim Himes, the Democrat congressman from Connecticut, was on with the radical extremist, terrorist, white supremacist Chris Hayes yesterday. And he wants to start lynching the Democrat congressman and Chris Hayes, doubtless, want to start lynching our military people for taking out drug traffickers, international drug cartel traffickers.
This is really simple. If you strike a combatant who is in distress, if you deliberately target someone, even if they're a combatant, even if they were doing very, very bad things, and they are not in a position to go after you, that is a war crime. Full stop. Deliberately targeting people, regardless of who they are, who are in distress, particularly on the high seas, is a war crime. Full stop.
Particularly on the high seas, targeting them deliberately. What was being targeted was a drug boat. The drug traffickers were on the boat. And they blew up the boat, and two of these guys got blown off the boat. They splashed in the water, and naturally they're out in the middle of the, they're probably not, what was that, Leah Thomas? Leah, that transgender Democrat swimmer, a man pretending to be a woman stealing trophies from girls. That's a Democrat. That's a Democrat. And Jim Himes, he's a Democrat. Yeah, it's a war crime. It's a war crime. They're in distress. They're the drug traffickers clinging to their drug boat. And the Democrat members of Congress would want to sit down and enjoy a margarita with them and snort a bunch of cocaine. Because I played the audio yesterday of the saying, and it was the head of the DEA, saying cocaine in Puerto Rico is now much more expensive than it was, and cocaine in the Dominican Republic now much more expensive than it was.
When cocaine arrives to the Dominican Republic, it's now more expensive. When cocaine arrives to Puerto Rico, it is more expensive.
It's more expensive. I guess everybody makes more money that way. That's good for capitalism. I don't know. That's not nothing to write home about, but okay. Now let's go back to this Democrat. We got another Democrat congressman coming up who's talking about cocaine, but let's go back to Democrat Connecticut Congressman Himes. It's kind of a funny name, Himes. Himes. That's not the best name in the world, I've got to say. So here's Democrat Congressman Jim Himes.
Any American who sees the video that I saw will see the United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors.
Attacking shipwrecked sailors. That's what he's calling the international drug cartel members who'd just been blown up in their go-fast drug boat. What are they? Distressed sailors? So he thinks that they might want to date him or something. They're sailors in distress. Maybe they want a few bucks, earn it the old-fashioned way.
The United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors.
Shipwrecked sailors. Sailors in distress, shipwrecked sailors. That's what he calls them. That's pretty amazing. That's like calling carjackers in Washington, D.C. with hostages who got in a shootout with the police, distressed Uber drivers. You're a completely ridiculous person. Congressman Jim Himes.
Let me be very clear. Killing shipwreck survivors is a war crime.
Shipwreck survivors. They're shipwreck survivors. They're not. It's not a shipwreck. It was a target of a U.S. military operation because they're international drug traffickers. But the Democrats would, perform an act of congressional gratification upon them, just like the dim-witted Maryland senator loved going down to hang out with Kilmore Abrego Garcia and have. Did they have margaritas? Yeah, they had some kind of a frosty drink, frosty beverage. Jim Himes, and then Jim Himes got a briefing from the admiral in charge of the operation on Capitol Hill yesterday, and he came out and he looked kind of chagrined, like everything I've been saying is a complete lie. Nothing I've said is true. I've been slandering and maligning people, men, manly men, toxic men, much better than myself. Jim Himes is thinking, and he came out and he said, well, I had just had a briefing with the admiral in charge of the operation.
The admiral confirmed that there had not been a kill them all order and that there was not an order to grant no quarter.
So does it exonerate Hegseth?
Now he's walking away. He just walked away. He just turned looking like an idiot, and he walked away. What an idiot. He should be expelled from Congress and forcibly conscripted into the American military and sent to Guantanamo Bay. That's just amazing. Yes, sir. CBS News. They've got a news reporter there. Says the news report, it was the Washington Post that started all this with their big splashy report, and it turned out it was all bourgeois. It was all nothing but bourgeois. CBS News.
The new report from the Washington Post leads some lawmakers to ask whether the Pentagon has committed a war crime. Yeah,
what leaves some to wonder. And then is there any, gosh, you guys get any answer to that? Because that'd be kind of interesting to find out. Maybe you get out there and scratch that surface, huh? Huh, girls? Isn't that great? Oh, man, I'm telling you. I still have I've really come to not like this guy at all. Senator Mark Kelly, he was an astronaut. We should put him back in space. Put him up there with the Russians on the space station or something. But wait till you hear him. These guys, they're not with us. Boy, oh boy. This Christmas, as we all celebrate the gift of life, you have an opportunity, as do we all, to share that same gift with a mother in need and her unborn baby. Imagine that young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy, feeling all alone, unsure of what to do, where to turn. She's searching for hope and for guidance, and that's where preborn ministries come in, because there is no doubt that you know someone whose birth was unplanned. It's very common. God's plan of redemption often works in the unplanned, doesn't it? Every mother preborn serves faces a crucial moment of decision when she sees her baby on an ultrasound, a human being, a little helpless person. In that moment, that young mother has the opportunity to say yes, and preborn's mission is to help her find the courage, the faith, the way, the support to make the right decision. This Christmas, for just $28, you can help save a human life. And thanks to a special matching grant from generous, wonderful Americans, your gift will be doubled up until the new year. So to donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250. And when prompted, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250. The keyword is baby. Or, because we know each other, you can go to preborn.com/plant on Al Gore's amazing internet. That's preborn.com/plant. Yes, sir. Oh, these Democrats. They sound like, they make me remember the Soviet Union. I got big updates for you coming up as well, like NBC News, MS-13, NBC. They're trying to blame President Trump for the black guy that was arrested for the pipe bomb thing yesterday. I saw on CNN it's a white guy. But that turned out to be just another fake news story. But today is Fisher House Day here at the Chris Plant Show. And to contribute, you may dial on your telephone 888-294-8560. And where is our, let me see, our latest number? Is that $112,762. Right now, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to our friend and the great president of the Fisher House Foundation, Dave Coker, who we've known and worked with for so many years. Mr. Dave Coker.
Well, hi, Chris. Thank you so much for this opportunity and the ability to highlight some of the families we serve. I know you spoke with Roberta Broomer, and her father's been cared for in long-term care with the VA for the past 12 years, and Fisher House has given her the opportunity to visit her father once a month and maintain that connection. And then the highlight for me is always visiting the houses. I was at Bethesda and met two couples in the kitchen. Both husbands were Marines, and they were there supporting their wives. The Marines worked in embassies, one in Africa, one in Asia, but they were united because both wives were undergoing treatment for breast cancer.
Wow.
And one was 2 weeks ahead of the other. And the way those couples bonded and the way they supported each other to make something that is more than difficult, something that they weren't going to alone. It's just amazing the magic that happens in a Fisher House.
It certainly is. And Dave Coker, and I've known, happy to know Dave for a decade and a half, I think. And Dave, you were the first employee of Fisher House and hired by Zachary Fisher, and just an extraordinary organization. I'm so impressed with, and I always have been, the organization. What do our listeners need to hear? So I keep waiting for a billionaire to give us $1 million one of these days. But what should everybody hear?
Well, the military and VA health systems are two of the best in the world. They provide world-class health care. But they need to be able to focus on providing that health care. Having a safe, comfortable place where families can be a part of the healing process is an opportunity for us to honor the service of the men and women who served and the sacrifice of their families. And this is our opportunity to make a difference in their lives. We're in the blessing business. And because of the listeners and the contributions they make, we can make a difference for the families we're so privileged to serve.
Dave Coker, President, Fisher House Foundation, the greatest, 888-294-8560. And again, today is Fisher House Day, day 2 of our 2-day annual Fisher House Radio-Thon. We raise money for the great people at Fisher House. Thus far, you, our wonderful listeners, have contributed, have donated $214,625. Not so bad, I think. $214,625. That's wonderful. The phone number is 888-294-8560 to make a contribution. Isn't that wonderful? Now, in the meantime, we're tracking the news here across the world, and the ridiculous people in the news media, they are a ridiculous bunch of people. We were just, we got a couple of big screens in the studio here, however big they are, 65-inch screens or something, and one of them is split up into 6 different screens, with different, you got your this and that, and MS-13 and CNN and Fox News and the BBC and on and on. We have these things. But we were just watching it, and pretty amazingly, CNN, was it CNN? It was CNN. They had some pretty amazing stuff. They had breaking news, oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the MS-13 people. And they had 3 really dumb people looking confused. And their screen says, sources, : That's it's where they find their sources. Sources, : pipe bomb suspect, listen to this, confessed to planting bombs near Capitol. All right, so, but hang on, it gets better, comma, indicated support for Trump. Indicated support for Trump. That's it. So now Democrats in your family tonight on the social media and on the telephone and at the dinner table, they're going to say, well, CNN say he's a Trump supporter because they put the words support for Trump in sequence, and that is he confessed. That's what matters. He confessed. He's and he's been fighting. He filed suit against the Trump administration, right? And that's what most Trump supporters do. They file lawsuits against the Trump administration to prove their support for Trump. What? And he's been fighting for illegal aliens to be released after being arrested by ICE. And now the MS-13 people, their headline is that the pipe bombers indicated support for Trump. Oh, really? This is on MS-13. MS-13 DNC, Carol Leonig, who's like a Washington Post left-wing extremist, radical slaughterer of innocent babies, harvests the organs. She's a racist, no doubt, as a Democrat. And here she is on MS-13.
Brian Cole Jr., the suspect in the January 6th pipe bombing case, confessed to FBI investigators yesterday in an interview that he planted those two devices that did not detonate in the areas around the DNC and RNC headquarters on January 5th. He was on surveillance tape, or a person was on surveillance tape doing that. He confessed that that was him. We also learned that he indicated that he was a supporter generally of Donald Trump, and also that he has been involved in basically supportive kind of social media interest in anarchist groups and anarchist philosophies. But investigators are still stumped about what his motive was.
Yeah, she sounds dynamic, doesn't she? She had like a bowl of lithium at breakfast. What was it with that? She's going to call in paramedics. She might need the paddles to get her heart going again. She's quite fascinating, isn't she? Just great. There she is. She's a journalist. Washington Post. Oh, boy. Well, she's a Pulitzer Prize winning, is that it? Pulitzer Prize winning, a team of Pulitzer Prize winning reporters. And listen to her. And then she died. And that was her last sentence.
I want to add that he, at least not yet, there doesn't seem to be any evidence that he coordinated with any of the militia groups that ultimately were involved in planning the breach of the Capitol.
Wow. That is amazing. Wow. Trump guy and the militia groups. What militia groups? Really? Name a militia group, Carol Leonig. You'll get another Pulitzer Prize if you can. Isn't that amazing? Give me the full name of the Nazi party in Germany, and I'll give you a $2 bill. Carol Leonig. And that's what they're peddling. Oh, yeah, Trump. And we're trying to tie him to what they're calling militia groups from January 6th. You guys should stop shooting people. Stop assassinating the Charlie Kirks. Stop shooting the Donald Trumps. Stop shooting the Republican congressman playing baseball. You guys should stop carjacking people. You should stop protecting MS-13 gang members and, of course, Tren de Aragua gang members, which the Democrat Party does with alacrity, with enthusiasm. Aren't they something? So there it is, and he expressed his support for Donald Trump, but they have not yet tied him to the militia groups that from the Capitol. How about the 3-day siege of the White House? 180 cops injured, set fire to the church, burned the church of the presidents, burned the only building in Lafayette Park, forced the evacuation of the president and the first family. Are you guys still looking into that? Carol Leonig. Honestly, she should probably get a brain scan, see if there's any activity going on there. Wow, these people. All right, let's get back to the other communists who call themselves the Democrat Party. Let's go to Here's he should still be in space. We should have left him in space. Senator Mark Kelly, he was on MS-13, and he's still defending drug traffickers funneling tons and tons of lethal narcotics into the United States that will kill your children. And the Democrat Party wants your children killed. Mark Kelly is a Democrat.
What we've seen here over the last couple of days, clearly unlawful, illegal orders.
Ah, yes, clearly illegal, unlawful orders. He has wedged his head into a dark and remote location. He's an embarrassment to the U.S. Navy and on and on. Just extraordinary. And then, and they have this communist who's a Ukrainian communist. You know, the Democrats have been in bed with corrupt Ukrainians for a long time. And Alexander Vindman, that was his name, right? Alexander Vindman. He was the creepy lieutenant colonel born in Ukraine who undermined, sabotaged President Trump in the first administration for the impeachment, because he made a phone call to Ukraine. President Trump called the Ukrainian president and said, "Tell me about how corrupt the Biden family is." And so Alexander Vindman, who should have been court-martialed for his treasonous behavior, treacherous behavior, and just amazing. He has a twin brother, Eugene Vindman. And because Eugene's brother, Alexander Vindman, was so corrupt, the Democrats said, and they're twin brothers, they look identical, and the Democrats said, well, he's got an identical twin brother. We should run him for Congress. He's a criminal, too. So Eugene Vindman ran as a Democrat for Congress in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and he won, and now he's a member of the House of Representatives. And here is Eugene Vindman, who now former lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, just like his twin brother, who engaged in that subversive conduct. Eugene Vindman yesterday, listen to this, and they're trying to lynch our own military. They were both born in Ukraine in the Soviet Union in the Soviet days, and they continue to carry on the traditions of Soviet communism here in the United States. Democrat Congressman Eugene Vindman.
It goes to this order from the secretary, apparently, of no quarter, which is an obvious war crimes violation.
Ah, yes. Obvious war crime. You're a war criminal. You need to be recalled to active duty so that you can be court-martialed by the President of the United States. And now all of that has been debunked, disproven. The Secretary of Defense himself, the admiral in charge of the operation, all on the record saying Secretary was not even in the room when the decision was made to sink the boat, since the drug trafficking boat with the drug traffickers on board, the Democrat Party. And then there's this dim-witted senator once again from Virginia, Mark Warner. Mark Warner. Got Mark Kelly, got Mark Warner. This dim-witted Democrat, just amazing. And they love the drug runners. They love the drug boats. They love the drug overdose deaths in the United States.
If these boats are full of drugs and narco traffickers, why not interdict them? Show to the country, show to the world the drugs and the terrorists, the narco terrorists.
Wait a minute. We should do what we've been doing for 50 years, and the number of fatal drug overdoses increases and increases and increases, although dropped the first year after 4 years of Joe Biden going up and up and up to more than 100,000 fatal drug overdoses in a single year, a number greater than the number we had Americans killed in the Vietnam War and the Korean War combined, and that's in 1 year in the United States. Narco terrorists. Joe Biden in 1989 called them narco-terrorists and said that we should take dramatic military action against the narco-terrorists for all the havoc they were causing in the United States of America. I played that audio for you yesterday of Joe Biden calling them narco-terrorists, saying we should take military action against them decades and decades ago when Joe Biden was only in his 60s. Isn't that amazing? So Mark Warner suggests these boats are moving drugs. Let's interdict them and arrest them. And then you guys will challenge the legal authority. First of all, we've been doing that for decades and decades. We had a Coast Guardsman on here on the radio show this week talking about how he, for years, was working Coast Guard boats where there were taking custody of the drug boats and the drugs. We've been doing that forever, you moron. But they don't follow the news. The Democrats, it's amazing what they don't know. Just extraordinary. Senator Tom Cotton, on the other hand, he's on our side. And he's a decorated combat veteran, a Harvard lawyer, but don't hold that against him. He joined the Army after Harvard Law School. And they said, well, you're a Harvard lawyer. We want you to be in the Judge Advocate General Corps. We want you to be a lawyer in the Army. And he said, I want to carry a rifle in combat. And so he went to Afghanistan, became a decorated combat vet, even though they wanted him as a lawyer. Senator Tom Cotton has explained, again, the admiral has explained to members of Congress. The idiot Himes came out, yeah, there was no order, there was no this. Senator Tom Cotton also knows the truth.
Was there a kill-all order from Secretary Henshaw?
No, both. Admiral Bradley was very clear that he was given no such order, not to give no quarter or to kill them all. He was given an order that, of course, was written down in great detail, as our military always does.
But was there a vocal order as well?
There's no vocal order either.
A vocal order, a verbal order. Might be called a verbal order. Isn't that amazing? No, and no. That's our Democrat Party. Aren't they amazing? Man, oh, man. I am telling you. You know, we had fun with this. President Trump apparently referring to the Somali population in Minnesota and in Minneapolis as being garbage. And the Democrats very, very angry about that. Very angry. President Trump got lots of hot water from the left about this. This is President Trump on Tuesday.
You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. And
that's true.
We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage.
And the Democrats made her a member of Congress, the jihadis and the Somalis. Now, and you call them garbage. I could play sound bites all day long of the Democrats raging over the last several days over the use of the word garbage. And then you'll never guess what emerged. President Joe Biden, just in the last few years, referring to tens of millions of Americans as garbage.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Bow, 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 bow. So Joe Biden can call 75 million Americans garbage. Didn't make a single headline. Not a peep out of the news media because they're the filth of the world, and they agree. Yeah, everybody's garbage if you didn't vote for, you're not stupid enough to vote for Kamala Harris. If you're not stupid enough to vote for Joe Biden. If you're not a racist enough to vote for Hillary Clinton and for Barack Hussein Obama. But there's Joe Biden calling 75 million Americans garbage, not a peep out of any Democrat or anybody in the news media, but I repeat myself. President Trump calls these people who've just stolen billions of tax dollars garbage, and it's the end of civilization. I could stay for hours and hours more going through all of the ridiculous things going on in Washington and beyond today, but I know better. And also, today is Fisher House Day here on the Chris Plant Show. And I have an update because the total that we have collected, thanks to you, our wonderful listeners, $226,463. $226,463. Outstanding. You may continue to contribute throughout the day here at this number, 888-294-8560, and through the weekend at WMAL.com/FisherHouse. So gather all your friends and family. Also, right now, holding on the line to wrap up for our part of the Fisher House Marathon, we have Michael Bradley holding on the line, and Air Force Special Operator, Mr. Bradley. Michael, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
There you are. So tell me, what is your experience? I know what it is, but share what your experience with Fisher House.
Experience with Fisher House has been, I was an inpatient at the NICO Center at Eglin Air Force Base. And the Fisher House provided lodging for myself and my family as I was going through inpatient care. Fisher House also has allowed my family to be by my side for the Warrior Games for the last summer to see Dad happy again, as words that my daughter used, all possible because of Fisher House and what they do for us.
And what were you doing in the facility in the first place? Describe your circumstance.
Well, I had a traumatic brain injury with brain bleeds, spinal cord, lots of other broken body parts that are healing. It was due to the severity of the brain injury.
And these were inflicted as in your role as an Air Force special operator.
Well, I'm not an operator, sir. I'm in SOCOM, but just to clarify, I'm not an operator. I'm a logistics guy. However, in the SOCOM world, we don't just do a job. We are multi-capable airmen and do many jobs. So my injury happened in the middle of trips to go back the next day. And unfortunately, from the severity of the brain injury, I don't remember. Was told what was happening, but don't remember what happened.
Man, and Fisher House. What kind of marks? Like I've had a number of I spent a number of days, not like you, with Fisher House, but what an extraordinary organization. What should our listeners know about Fisher House as they think about giving until it hurts?
Well, Fisher House gives us life again, because for me, at the 31 and some change years of service, my life, my identity has been in the uniform. And Fisher House takes care of us on our transition out and provides comfort for the family as we are transitioning, because we think no one sees the wounds that we carry. However, our loved ones see them, and Fisher House allows happiness to be seen in the family again.
And Christmas is coming up, and Fisher houses pay a great deal of attention to Christmas, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been to the Fisher houses here up at Walter Reed and Bethesda Naval, and the Christmas at Fisher House is a truly extraordinary thing. And you just, I got to tell you, you can't give enough to the Fisher House. Such an extraordinary organization, such an extraordinary family, the Fisher family, and the work that is done, the great people of Fisher House. And we've spoken to a number of them today and yesterday as well. Michael Bradley, saluting you, sir, saluting you. God bless you. God bless America. 888-294-8560.